beautiful reminder for you, our lovely viewer, that the truth is we are always here from 6:30 every weekday. That's when we begin our live broadcast in Good Morning Uganda. So make it a date with us. Kindly ensure that every weekday you start your day with us. We spice up your mornings, we energize you with relevant information that you need to know, and some light moments here and there. Now, before I also go any further, I just want to let you know that today, Office of the Prime Minister is sending off relief aid to the people in Karamoja. Today, the Office of the Prime Minister is sending relief aid to the people of Karamoja, and I just want to be a bit more specific here. That is government flags off food relief to Karamoja. Now, it started at 8 a.m. That is on the 20th. So, if you're there, the people of Karamoja, hope is coming the 20th. Relief is coming your way. That is aid, including food, and so much there for you this morning. So, let's go direct to my topic this morning, where I have very interesting guests, I must say. Very interesting guests. Why am I saying they're interesting guests? Because these are ladies that ventured into science. And real science, I must say. Join me, welcome Dr. Josephine Boji, who is the Principal Research Officer, Head of the Department of World Health Organization, EPI Laboratories at the Uganda Virus Institute. Doctor, you're most welcome.
Thank you.
And just next to me, I have Dr. Jennifer Seranga. She's the Assistant Director and Head of Department Immunology, that is Uganda Virus Institute. Doctor, you're most welcome.
Thank you very much.
Now, it gives me a pleasure whenever I have ladies in the field of science, because I know sciences by then, it was a field dominated by men. I remember in my O-level, one of the schools, that is St. Mary's Chitende, we had very few science students that were female. Not only to say the science class also had a few people, and many schools, the arts and sciences don't balance in number. But then when it comes to ladies, there are very few. Now, when I go back some years back, I must say these are some of the ladies that broke those odds to be what they are today. And I want to thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, starting with our business this morning, we are looking at the journey of the Uganda Virus Institute in research. What has the journey been like? What have they done? Their history as they celebrate 90 years of discoveries and global impact. Now, I want to begin with the lady at my extreme end. When we talk about Uganda Virus Institute, help our viewer understand, what is this? Even feel free for the location.
So, Uganda Virus Research Institute is an institute which is based at Entebbe, 5159 Nachuogo Road, and we mostly deal in viruses. Our major work is working on viruses. We do surveillance, we do research work, we train people to be able to carry out research in viruses mostly, although we also do some other work which is related to diseases which are also related to viruses. They may be bacteria, but somehow if they're related to viruses, we also work on these diseases.
Now, Doctor, also take me through the journey. What has the journey been like for the Uganda Virus Research Institute?
Yeah, the journey of Uganda Virus Research Institute started way back 90 years ago, 1936, as the Yellow Fever Institute. Yellow fever was a serious disease then, so that's how the research started. It grew from there to address more and more viruses. There's a group of viruses called arboviruses, which some of them are transmitted through either maybe vectors like ticks, like mosquitoes, like other carriers that carry viruses to humans. So it kept expanding from Uganda Virus Research Institute to become an East African Research Institute, which eventually it got recognized because a lot was discovered. A lot of viruses have been discovered through the research that was going on. It was even able to make the first vaccine of Rift Valley, which is still in use now. It grew from there, expanded. It came down a bit during the East African community, but came back strongly after that. It has grown over the years. When HIV came, they were instrumental in addressing the issue of HIV, answering what is happening in these communities which were dying of an unknown disease. It was able to establish the different variants of HIV and also to study how the bodies address HIV, how the body immune systems respond to HIV. They have participated in a number of clinical trials to understand and be able to address these diseases. As you might all know, we are like in the hotspot of epidemics of viral diseases. That's why you keep seeing so many epidemics coming up. So we are always at the front line of understanding where is the outbreak, what can we do about this. The journey has taken us into expanding our science to understand the disease, to understand the vectors, to understand how the body responds, and also to understand how vaccines are working. So we now work on a number of vaccines. We work on a number of viruses. We respond to even anything that is unknown. COVID came as a new disease and we were able to jump into it. So a lot of infrastructure has been put in place and a lot of training of younger scientists to make sure that the legacy lives on. So we expand with the expanding epidemics. That is our journey as we continue to expand. Yes.
Well, very interesting. 90 years. When someone hears 90 years and they hear of Uganda Virus Institute, I remember many, of course, who know Entebbe Uganda Virus Institute, but they didn't know that this institute has been there for 90 years, seen setbacks, but still returned and serving Ugandans for the purpose it was intended to. Now, Dr. Woji, why the name Uganda Virus Institute? Do you only handle viruses?
We mostly handle viruses. We mostly handle viruses. That is why it's called Uganda Virus Research Institute. In fact, here in East Africa, we are the only institute that is handling only, doing research on only viruses. Yes, we do handle some other diseases, like I mentioned. We do some work on vectors. But again, the vectors we study are vectors which are to see how these which are also connected to viruses. So that is why we are really called Uganda Virus Research Institute. Yes.
Now, how has it managed to thrive, unlike other institutions that were under the East African communities since 1936? How has it managed, Dr. Jennifer?
Yes, so there has been a lot of input from within the government, but also having good scientists who collaborate externally and internally. The science costs a lot of money, and you need money to do science. So on top of what we receive from government, we write proposals, we collaborate with the external stakeholders to be able to complement and supplement on the work that we do so that we can address the issues at the level of international scientists. So we do get some funding locally, but we also seek for funding outside, and we work with others that are able to do things that we can't do. So cooperatively, we deliver as a team.
Okay, now I see. You're able to write proposals and all that, so in addition to what government provides.
Yes, please.
Well, I didn't know scientists are that very. Most of the times you believe your work is in the laboratory, lab, but also if you have a project and you look for potential sponsors to have these breakthroughs, then that is good. Now, how has Uganda Virus Institute contributed towards policy development knowledge and information. And you feel, Dr. Woji, that really you have performed to your mandate and expectations of Ugandans?
So UVRI has really contributed a lot to policy in a number of areas. First of all, in HIV. In HIV, we've contributed a lot. For the treatments, Dr. Jennifer will talk about it more, but we've guided a lot on what treatment should be given. We've carried out studies like Septrin. Remember the use of Septrin? We did those first studies which showed that yes, you can use Septrin to help somebody. That was before we got ARVs. Then in terms of testing, a number of test kits, for example, hepatitis B, syphilis, even COVID-19, we guided a lot. We helped the country know which test kits could be used to test for COVID-19. For measles, we've been doing some research on measles diagnostics. We want to guide the country that maybe you can also use rapid tests to test for measles. For example, also like now when we do surveillance, we inform the country, yes, there's this disease here. We inform them like there's polio here. So if you want to immunize, this is where you should go. You should respond now. We tell them, yes, there's measles. You can vaccinate this age group. So for example, now when you have campaigns, it is because of the work at UVRI that you are able to decide we should go under 5s. We should immunize people who are under 15. It's all because of the work at Uganda Virus Research Institute that we are able to get this information. And we also support not only Uganda but also internationally, because the work we do, we also do testing for polio for other countries. So we are able to guide them that, you know, you have polio, please respond. Yes.
Now, Dr. Jennifer, like Dr. Woji said, talk to us about HIV and COVID-19 research and testing as well at the Uganda Virus Institute. Because these are things where most of HIV, where many people got to know about Uganda Virus Institute. Because they say, well, Uganda Virus Institute is doing this. Please take us more into that field as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe before I go into that, I'll add more on how policy, we have contributed to policy, specifically for HIV, the circumcision as one of the mechanisms of preventing HIV transmission. The information came from the research at Uganda Virus Research Institute, and we have contributed a lot in terms of clinical trials to understand how vaccines should be given at what interval and whether people have responded. Now, as far as HIV is concerned, a lot of research has been done. There's a lot of surveillance to inform the government. Where is the infection moving? Is it more in these hotspot areas compared to the others? A lot of data is collected inland as well as on islands to inform where targeted interventions need to be improved. A lot of mother-to-child transmission studies have been done, again, to inform policy. They have studied the variants, the different types of HIV, and shown which ones exist in Uganda compared to those outside. A lot of work in HIV started with variants that happen elsewhere, and we would have assumed that HIV is the same if they didn't study that there are different types, and we have found that there are different types specific to our country and our region, and therefore as they answer questions elsewhere, we need to address what is here in this country. So a lot of regimens, a lot of understanding of drug resistance. Drugs might be there, but you must check, are the drugs still working on the people that are being treated? So there is tracking of resistance to inform change of regimens that people are taking. There is also work on understanding how the population responds. Of course, everybody wants a vaccine against HIV, like how we have vaccines against other diseases. And therefore, this goes into understanding how the bodies responded to the infections they have. So a lot of research has been done, especially using people who are extremes. There are people we've seen who would rapidly progress to death, but others don't seem to be progressing, but they too all have HIV. So understanding how these ones who are slow progressors manage to fight is very important to inform vaccines. So a lot of research that we have done is around there to inform what are those targets, how do they do it, that we can learn so that we make vaccines that behave in that way. We have been able to also study the variants that happen in this country, and we know that many other places elsewhere have made what we call monoclonal antibodies. These are highly effective antibodies that when you give, they are going to neutralize the virus so that you have less viral loads. But we have found that the strains, the unique strains that we have here, are not as responsive to those antibodies, which means we have to solve our own problems. We need to make our own antibodies. And we have reached that level. Before it would be done elsewhere, but we have been able to reach that level of understanding our own clades, and that's where we want to address issues around what is geographically relevant, learning from what we have done before. HIV was a very good backbone for us. It gave us the infrastructure to do science. When COVID came, we didn't go anywhere. As you all know, we were all in lockdown. So when they told us to address COVID, we did not have to go to any institution to learn. We knew that the infrastructure, the methods, the training that we had could be switched to another virus. So we worked closely with the hospitals that were isolating contacts and people who were positive to understand, to collect samples, to collect blood, because we have to understand it from those who are infected. We collected the blood and we studied how Ugandans have responded. We saw that they had very good immunity that came up quite early, and we have compared Ugandan immunity to samples that we had from the UK using our partnerships, and we saw that Ugandans had a very rapid response. We have been able to also follow up people who received the different vaccines. In Uganda, we received very many different types of vaccines, and we were happy that irrespective of what type of vaccine somebody got, they were able to quickly respond and respond well. So there was that reassurance that, yes, they gave us the vaccines, we were not able to make at that time, but they worked well in the population, and people maintained well on those vaccines. So we've understood COVID, and we know that we need to continue to understand COVID, because this is not the first time this kind of virus has appeared. It appeared in 2 previous outbreaks under a different name, a different strain. So we should learn from this, as we have been able to switch from HIV to COVID, to also prepare for if a new strain came, how prepared would we be? Would we still be waiting for somebody to give us countermeasures? No, we should be able to make our own preparations for the next one. So a lot of work has been done for
That's why I want to
HIV.
ask you, Doctor, about COVID-19. We heard of plans and research for a COVID-19 vaccine that is manufactured in Uganda. As researchers at the Uganda Virus Institute, how far have you gone?
Yeah, so this is work that we are very happy that the government has sponsored. It had very, very many outputs. First of all, vaccine production was never in this country, so we were supposed to set up the infrastructure. So quite a lot of funding went into buying the necessary equipment, as well as we are supposed to set up the necessary training. We have trained a number of students and specialists to be able to do all the different steps that are necessary to develop the vaccines. The vaccines have been developed, different platforms, as you hear, if you have heard, there's mRNA, there's vectored, there's inactivated. All these have been developed, but whatever is going to go into a human being must go through different steps of critical review. So once you develop it, you prove it, and you then first prove in mice that it is safe. So all those activities of proving that it is safe in the mice have been done. After proving the safety, then you should prove what dose. So you go back and plan the experiments, and you test in the mice, and you say what dose, and then also what dosing interval. Should it be given 2 doses, or should it be given 2 doses after 2 weeks or 1 month? So we have optimized all these different steps, optimized how much dose we should give, and also observe the animals to see that they are okay. So there are still many more steps that have to be done, and the next one is now to prove that it can protect, which means we go into those mice that have been purchased in this country, which are like, they are called humanized mice. So what responses they give is
so
similar.
those are the expensive creatures.
Yes, they are expensive. They
not
are
these ones I had in my school laboratories, the white with red eyes.
No, the white with red eyes are for the school laboratory to understand how the organs are. But these ones have been genetically changed to kind of reflect a human, because before we go into human, we want something close to a human. So for that, we are also...
They are called, doctor, you called them?
They are called humanized. Humanized.
Humanized.
You are like a human. Humanized mice.
Humanized mice.
Yes.
Very interesting.
Yes.
So those ones are safe at home.
Those ones are, they are not for home, because even they are not as cheap as people might think. Even you have to look after them very carefully.
Yes.
They have to be in an environment which has no disease, because we want to test them against only one disease. They should be very, very healthy. So the next step has been to go and immunize, infect those mice, then we can test that our vaccine can protect. So all these steps must be done.
So have we reached the infecting of these mice?
So now they are being multiplied for infection, and that is the step we are on. As we go, because I told you it is a pipeline, at the end the government is investing into a vaccine production plant.
Yes.
After the mice, we should have what we call a GMP facility, good manufacturing practice, because now that product, to jump from animals into mice, we need to be at a level of very good manufacturing. So even that is a phase where government is helping us to set up, so that we prepare for clinical trials, so that we prove that, yes, we have the whole pipeline set up, the infrastructure is in place, the personnel are trained. We also had at the same time to develop tests, assays, because if you have your vaccine, you must check that it has made antibodies. So all those procedures have been put in place, and even the reagents to test this, we are now able to make locally. So a lot has been achieved along the process, so that we are more prepared now for any epidemic than we were before. Yes.
Well, for now, let me go for a short break. When we return, yes, we are talking a bit of light science. So when you hear some terms, we may not try to break them so much, my guests, but please, what we are focusing on is the Uganda Virus Institute journey of 90 years in research and setting global impact. So much happens in there in Entebbe, but we get to know very little. So today I have the guests here to let you know part of what they do. We return shortly.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
The government's commandate is to maintain law and order, safeguard citizens' rights, and provide essential public services.
Remember, one of the pillars of a roadmap is innovation and entrepreneurship.
There has been this question of how are you protecting our indigenous seed?
It's going to be a tall project. That answers somebody's question.
The Front Bench has brought you insightful discussions on governance, security, healthcare, justice, and commerce.
When you go through this complicated procedure, involve the lawyers, you bring the case against him, the judge will hear you out and pass judgment, and you're out of court in record time.
We remain committed to keeping you informed and engaged on key national matters.
So these are huge, these are powerful organizations which now Uganda chairs. Why don't you come together?
If we haven't migrated to the e-card because of various reasons, including that not all the people of Uganda have smartphones.
You can sit in your house
apply for a passport. If you have a Ugandan who has a successful logistics firm in the US, it means he can come to Uganda and do a lot more.
Every Monday at 8:30 p.m. with me, Jethro Kasaiji, your interface with the government only on your public broadcaster, UBC, Inspiring Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah yo, baby don't know.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Welcome back from that break, and thank you so much for being with us. I still have Dr. Jennifer and Dr. Woji with me from the Uganda Virus Institute. We are looking at 90 years of the Uganda Virus Institute in research and global impact. Now, Dr. Woji, Uganda Virus Institute is also involved in other expanded programs of immunization. Please tell us more about this as well.
So, the expanded program for immunization, that is UNEPI, we support it, but we mostly support the viral diseases, like we mentioned earlier, as we focus on viruses. So there are diseases that EPI targets, like polio, measles, rubella, yellow fever. So these diseases, we target them at UVRI. We support the program by monitoring the presence of these diseases in the population. So we tell the population there's an outbreak here, please respond. We tell, the Ministry of Health that please, now you can respond, there's this disease. They also do research in those particular diseases. And currently at UVRI, because of our expertise, we have been designated as WHO reference laboratories for some of these diseases. Yeah, so so we are a WHO inter-country polio laboratory. So we don't serve only Uganda. We serve other countries in the region. We serve Tanzania, Southern Sudan, Rwanda, Burundi. They send us samples of stool and also samples they collected from the environment. From their sewages, then we check and see do they have polio. So we have a lab that tests and informs them that they have polio in their country or not. Then we also support, WHO national and also regional reference laboratory for measles and rubella, again for the region. Here we serve 9 countries, that is Uganda, Tanzania, Kenya, Rwanda, Burundi, Eritrea, Ethiopia. So in this capacity, and also Southern Sudan, in this capacity, we make sure that the laboratories that are testing in those countries are of good quality. So we support WHO in this activity. So we train staff from those countries. Either they come here to Uganda Virus Research Institute, or we go to their countries and we train the staff there to make sure they can be able to test for measles and rubella. We also go to those labs, visit those labs on request from WHO, and see whether to accredit those labs to make sure they are performing, their work is quality. They also send us samples on a quarterly basis for serology testing, again, to make sure that their tests, when they give out results to their country of measles and rubella, they are reliable results. Then for yellow fever, again, we are a regional reference lab for yellow fever. So again, we support WHO and the region in confirming yellow fever cases both in the country and also in the region.
So, viewer, if you didn't know that, that is how big Uganda Virus Institute is. World Health Organization is a global organization, very much respected. Now, finding Uganda Virus Institute fit for that, even helping in accreditation, is something we should be proud of as Ugandans. Most of the times, government of Uganda does so many things. But the problem is people only come to talk about them when they are celebrating 90 days, 90 years. People rarely talk. There is so much good that is happening in Uganda, but little is known to the public. And I want to thank you, despite the fact that you've come at 90-day celebration, but at least you've been able to tell Ugandans what is being done. Now, Dr. Jennifer, talk to us about the collaborations and partnerships in research, a little of that.
Yeah, thank you very much. The work that I've talked about, you cannot do it alone. Normally when we have all these outbreaks or health issues, it is urgent. Some of them, there is a limitation up to where you can go. For example, if it is high consequence viruses, those are Ebola, Marburg, very deadly. We can only handle those in level 4. It's called biosafety level 4. So those labs are only in certain countries. Therefore, you must collaborate to be able to deliver all these outputs in time. So we work with a number of collaborators. With HIV, we have worked a lot with USAID. USAID funded by very many governments, very many funders, and through also with money coming from the US. And these have been very, very instrumental in establishing a lot of the infrastructure that we had, a lot of training, a lot of quality work that we have done. It was because of funding from both the government but also from the USAID. We have worked a lot with Gates Foundation. The Gates Foundation helped to fund work on research on vectors, which vectors are mosquitoes that might transmit back viruses, but it also put in a lot of work for us to understand COVID. We were not going to be an institute that would only test COVID and stop there. We needed to understand on the side of the humans, how are the immune responses, how can we learn from this, how are the vaccines working. So the Gates Foundation funded that link to link the virus to other questions and be able to address. And they have funded us in many ways. Need them to be able to answer that. They are also putting out calls now, which we are responding to be able to understand Ebola Bundibujo, which is an issue in our area. We have worked a lot with the Wellcome Trust in the UK. The UK government has partnered for a long time, since 2001 till now, with a memorandum of understanding with the government of Uganda to address HIV. Their specific one was HIV. HIV was an issue. We needed help, and they have come in and established themselves with us at the Uganda Virus Research Institute, and a lot of the work that I've told you previously came out of that funding. We have funding from other partners as well. WHO has input in a number of ways. They are supporting the expanded immunization program to make sure that vaccines are assessed before they are put out there in the population. And this should assure you that vaccines are not just brought to us and they are not checked. They are checked and they are safe, and you should not resent taking your children for vaccination or receiving vaccinations yourself. We do check that these vaccines are safe. We have been funded by a number of organizations, CEPI, Center for Epidemic Coalition, Epidemic Response and Innovation. They have given us funds to prepare ourselves better for Ebola, Marburg, those hot viruses that happen in our country, to be prepared with testing and to prepare ourselves with understanding solutions. Even we have reached a level of where we can now feel that we are starting to make monoclonal antibodies for treatment for some of these viruses. You know, viruses don't have treatments at all. But if somebody can't make antibodies, you can make antibodies for them, and that becomes a treatment. So these kinds of funding are coming from partnerships which we develop. We have a big partnership now with which is dealing specifically with Marburg. Marburg is as bad as Ebola, and we are leading as UVRI, partnering and with our collaborators in the US, because they might have facilities that can handle this virus live, and we do the components that are not live, and they do the live components. But out of this, we expect to make products for treatment and products for testing. So without partners, we cannot do most of this work. We also have the NIH, National Institute of Health, that is on site with us at the UVRI to also help us to address epidemics. So collaborating, whether from international sites, is a must for science. You can't address everything alone. If you want to walk it alone, it might take you very many years. But also you might not have all the infrastructure. But together you can be able to address all these things very fast as a team.
Thank you, Dr. Jennifer. Now talking about the various collaborations and partnerships in research. This takes me to Dr. Woji. Now we've been talking about bodies in the US and all that. Uganda Virus Institute is located in Entebbe. Now let's look at the communities. How have these communities benefited from this research, and are they involved in any way?
So the communities, I would start off by talking about the health units that are in Entebbe. When we have outbreaks, for example, with Entebbe Hospital, we have worked with them to see that we do more research. Like, for example, when we had COVID-19, when we've had Mpox, we've done work with them to see that we do more research to understand some of these diseases. And when you're doing research, you end up doing diagnostics which you would not have done without this research. So we take their monies which we have got through the funding which we may have got from the different partners, so that we are able to do more diagnostics which routinely they would not have had, and so they get treatments which they would not have had. Then we also talk to them so that the community gets to know about these diseases. So by us being in this community, the community is benefiting from our presence.
Now I have another one. This one is very interesting. I was in Entebbe around the Uganda Virus Institute, and I was told, this for the benefit of the communities, that you people at the Uganda Virus Institute release mosquitoes to suck blood. I don't know what intentions. So you're doing research there. I mean, you have your mosquitoes there that usually release to the community and they suck blood. Now, I don't know if this is a myth, if it is in any way scientific, that I don't know. And Dr. Jennifer, please, why do you release mosquitoes to the people?
Yes, I want to assure the public that actually we don't release mosquitoes to suck blood. We are actually at the forefront of fighting malaria, and we have got mosquitoes that are being engineered. Just like they engineer mice, you can also engineer the mosquito. So specifically, we want to breed mosquitoes that cannot multiply. So if you don't multiply, what happens to your population? It's going to reduce. So we want that kind of method of attacking malaria by removing the vector. If they can't multiply and you have engineered them well, at some point, for now they are still under research, but at some point if you release those, they should be able to replace the normal mosquitoes which are biting you every day and increasing in your houses. And you know, these ones which we have engineered will not be multiplying, so it will live and die, and eventually what will be there, it will be a population with no mosquitoes. So how will malaria thrive? We will have handled malaria from that point of view. So I just want to assure the public that we are here as public health, looking for public health improvement. We don't release anything to go there to suck blood, to make life difficult for you. We are trying to solve problems in different ways. As you solve problems by treating malaria, others are solving by the vaccine, and then we know that the malaria is carried by mosquitoes. So if we can change the mosquito and it just stops multiplying, that will be a best way of addressing the issue forever. Yes.
So what you have in the laboratories is safe.
It is safe.
It is not out to the community.
It is not out to the community. Please stop those myths that we are releasing. We are for you. We want good health.
Okay, very interesting.
Yeah.
Now, Dr. Woji, we must really understand that 90 years of research at the Uganda Virus Institute have not all been rosy. What have been the outstanding challenges?
So our biggest challenge is funding.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, of course, research requires a lot of funding. So the funding we have, yes, government gives us some funds, but they're not adequate. So scientists have tried to write proposals to increase the funding we have, to be able to carry out the research that we are reporting on, that we have done in these 90 years. We've also tried to collaborate with other scientists, also to be able to get this increased funding, like what Dr. Jennifer mentioned. We are collaborating internationally and nationally so that we can be able to get more funds to do our research work. The other challenge we have is human resource. Currently, the government staff are few. So it's really a challenge to be able to do this work. First of all, you need numbers of staff, increased numbers in staff, and also trained staff. So getting this staff trained is also a challenge because sometimes we don't have the funding. We have to look for funding elsewhere to make sure that people are trained to get the skills to be able to carry out this research. Another part is infrastructure. Like Dr. Jennifer mentioned, we've really expanded in our activities, but the infrastructure has not expanded that much. So UVRI needs to expand in its infrastructure. I think Dr. Jennifer could also add on some
another
additional
issue is, of course, procurement. You know, everything we do is highly specialized. You buy every reagent from outside, and then the process takes so long. That is a challenge for us. If we had a way of making research-related items move faster, that would be very good. We are highly specialized, and everybody is a specialist in a different aspect. So we need a lot of ensuring of safety. We surround ourselves with the walls and all the measures to make sure that whatever we are handling, however dangerous it may be to solve your problems, is also safe. So safety goes with a lot of money. So all those things, as she has said, are money intensive. But another one, of course, is those myths. If you could believe us, we are actually doing good science. So if you follow what we are talking about, we are solving problems. We are not making things worse. So whatever we are doing, please encourage us, support us, and believe in us, because we are for the good of humanity and for the good of health. So myths also sometimes set us backwards. Instead of moving forward, there's a number of things that are being said that
this vaccine developed is a family planning tool.
Yes, so those things take us
I find that very common.
Yes.
Now you see that thing developed is to ensure that the men born in Africa are not man enough. The population is so big, then women who do this won't have this if your children. So there are so many untruths and myths surrounding that. But we've come to the end of the show.
Okay.
But before I let you go, I'll just give each of you just a minute for your parting shot. And let me begin with Dr. Woji.
A minute?
Please. Your parting shot.
UVRI has done a lot in the 90 years, and we shall be celebrating on tomorrow. We shall start off with a scientific conference, and on Wednesday we shall have big celebrations, and during those big celebrations we shall have a lab. This is a polio lab. A new polio lab will be opened, so we welcome you to come for the celebrations. Yeah.
Oh, I love. So welcoming us, the general public, at the Uganda Virus Institute. I hope our humanized mice are safe. Mice will be safe, sorry, mice will be safe. Now, Dr. Jennifer, as we move out of here.
Yes, I would like to encourage all those students out there, take sciences. There's more to science than just the few things you know. You always think maybe I should be a doctor or an engineer, and that's it. There's a lot that you can do. Come and join us, train. We make you specialists. You feel good about being part of the solutions. So come and see what we do and be part of the science. The government actually has seen this. The president is always talking about this. We expect science to be contributing $500 billion US. And this can be done because there are many things out of science that fetch money for other countries that we haven't been doing. So I encourage you to take science and do more than what you thought you knew. Thank you.
So about the big day tomorrow, throw some hint on that as well.
So tomorrow is the day of the science opening up to the public. Come and see. We are going to tell you the research that we have done. We haven't said much here. The research that we have done, the solutions, the innovations, and we can show you around so that we interest you. It's a day for you to come and share what we do and understand it from the horse's mouth.
That is starting tomorrow.
Starting tomorrow.
Then the big day.
Then the big day, Tuesday, we'll be opening up some infrastructures that we have set up, and we are welcome to come and see and be part of it. You are taxpayers, we get money from taxes, so come and see your products.
Well, thank you so much, ladies. The scientists have been with on set, and congrats to Uganda Virus Institute for 90 years of research and discoveries and innovations in Uganda and globally. Have the best of your day. See you tomorrow, God willing.
Thank you.